Alright, hey, it's your boy, Cousin Greg here. Now, for over a decade, I've been a fan of the Assassin's Creed series. Since I had picked up Assassin's Creed 2 on the Xbox 360, I was like so involved. And I've been replaying Assassin's Creed 2, and like I'm going back through the games now. And is it just me, but has Assassin's Creed really lost its identity within, like, the past 5 years? Not lost its identity, but they've really changed. And it's quite unfortunate because I feel as though the stories that the Assassin's Creed games tell were very compelling, and, like, they really got me interested in history and all that. But ever since the release of Origins, it's like, I haven't been as interested in the history of these games since. Like, Origins, I got kind of into Egyptian history, and I felt immersed in the world, but it didn't really feel like Assassin's Creed to me. And I did replay this game, like, recently, like last year. And Odyssey definitely didn't feel like Assassin's Creed. I mean, they didn't even have a hidden blade. And then you go to Valhalla, which just released, and it just seems like it doesn't even seem like it's Assassin's Creed anymore at Valhalla. It just seems like Valhalla was Ubisoft's attempt to get onto the Nordic game bandwagon. Like, since Skyrim and God of War were so popular, I feel like Ubisoft was like, let's do Vikings, because everyone else is doing Vikings. And I mean, now you have Valheim, and that's its own separate thing. But, I mean, I feel as though Assassin's Creed has gone from this very interesting, self-contained, interconnected story to just Ubisoft playing around with the latest trends. And it's quite unfortunate to see that happen to one of my favorite series. You don't even run into historical figures anymore, really. I mean, you have Herodotus and Socrates and all the philosophers in Odyssey, but I mean, like, they existed so far back, it's hard to, like, really capsulate it, and they kind of didn't have any build-up to them. Like, with Assassin's Creed 2, where your main antagonist ends up becoming the motherfucking Pope, and you've got to kill the Pope? Like, shit. That's intense. But going after your sister, who's, like, estranged and in a cult, and then, like, the cult leader is just, like, a side character, the stories just don't even hit the same. Like, I mean, you think of Black Flag and the adventure Edward Kenway went on, from becoming a lowly pirate to, like, losing everything but gaining everything he wanted. Or, I mean, even Connor Kenway, with one of the lesser, most liked Assassin's Creeds, AC3. I mean, Connor Kenway lost his freaking mom, he lost his dad, he lost his adopted father, and then after the war ends, like, he finds out the Americans are kind of shit. His whole tribe is almost, like, I think his whole tribe is assimilated, like, taken by the Europeans. But, I mean, like, you don't have those journeys anymore. I mean, Bayek went on a revenge journey for his son, Hemut. And, I mean, like, Bayek was a very interesting protagonist, but he was driven more by revenge than anything else. He wasn't driven by trying to find a creed or trying to find redemption in himself after his son's death. It was all about avenging his son, and then it was like, afterwards, it was like, oh, I'll just kind of do whatever Aya does. Like, why didn't we have Aya as the protagonist of that? I mean, I think we all know why we didn't have Aya as the protagonist of Origins, but then, I mean, you go to Odyssey, and it's just a Grecian familiar story, like a Grecian epic. And the way they threw in Darius was, like, so side-handed. Like, playing back through Assassin's Creed 2 and going through the tombs, and like reading the data entries and the logs, it kind of gets you hyped for Darius, because it's like, oh yeah, he used the first ever hidden blade to kill the Persian king Xerxes. And then like, I don't know, I feel like if they ever did Darius, they should have made him as a playable character. I think I would have rather have gone on Darius's adventure than the one that Cassandra went on in Odyssey. I'd rather have played as Darius. Valhalla. Valhalla is just such a disappointment. I was so excited when they were like bringing back the hidden blade and everything, and I got so locked in the hype. Like, it was crazy how hyped I was for this game. I bought it at the $60 full price, and like everyone's got it on sale now, and it's like when I was playing through it, I didn't even want to end up finishing it. And I love Assassin's Creed, and I've beaten Odyssey, and I've beaten Origins, and like I've beaten all Unity, Syndicate, everything. And I did not want to finish Valhalla. Like, halfway through, I don't know if it's just me, but halfway through Valhalla, I just couldn't get through it. It was so upsetting, because as a longtime fan of the series, I really want the best for these games, and I want a return to form. I mean, obviously, tons of people did, and tons of people kind of fell into that hype as soon as Ubi showed off the hidden blade on Eivor. But I mean, the game was just... I didn't even feel like connected to Eivor or her journey. And like, halfway through, something happens with Eivor's brother Sigurd. And like, you want to go take care of that, but you can't, because you've got to take care of the main side quests. Like, I don't even know how to describe them. Like, you have to conquer different parts of England before you can proceed with the main story. It was just so disappointing, because like, I wanted to get into the story, and I think I would have gotten way more into the story if they didn't make you finish up your conquering of England before proceeding with like the back end of the story. And then by that time, you're like, you don't even care, because you've had to go through like 5 or 6 hours between where the last story beat happens and like the ending scene, and you're just like, you want it to be over at that point. And the ending just really falls short for the length of time you have to invest in Valhalla before you beat it. So I don't know. I'm worried that the future of Assassin's Creed is pretty dark. I miss the Templars, honestly. The Order of Ancients, like, I don't even understand. Or the Cult of Cosmos, or wherever the fuck they're called now. Like, I just want the Templars back. I just want the Assassins back. And I feel like I can't be the only one with these opinions. I'd love to see Return to Form. Just go back to big cities, like maybe a 30-hour game time experience. Then like hammer out some hardcore cool DLCs. Like, you don't have to make these huge open world RPG games, because honestly, I don't think Ubisoft really excels at that. I feel as though Ubisoft for a long time, especially like with my previous interest in Prince of Persia, and also with what Ubisoft did for Mario and Rabbids on the Switch. Like, I don't know how many of you tried that game, but that's fucking cool. And the story like fits right in. Like, Ubisoft really excels at these immersive, involved story games, like that play out like an interactive movie. I feel as though they're not going to go back to this form of making games for a while. But I mean, I'm burnt out on the open world games. Give me a nice tight story. Give me like some characters who are really well developed. Make me care again. Because right now, Ubisoft, I just don't.